Hello and welcome back to Batch Reviews. Now I've been doing this job a long time, nearly 14 years to be precise, and coming up now is something that has never happened to me. Now to find out exactly what I'm talking about, you're going to have to watch the whole video. But in the meantime, please do consider subscribing to my channel. This is the Jaguar XF, the updated model. Now I've wanted to have a go in it for a while. The last time I drove an XF was in 2016 when I had one as a long-term test car for Auto Express magazine. So I put the request in with Jaguar and they said of course I could have a go. But I better be quick because the XF wouldn't be around for much longer. Now of course, I knew Jaguar were going to stop production of the XF, along with the smaller version of this car, the XE and the F-Type sports car. Now I've already done a celebratory video of the F-Type and you can watch that in the top right hand corner of the screen. Now, the problem we've got here is that I thought Jaguar was going to can this car a few weeks on from now. In fact, they've done it while I've got the car on test. So in effect, this video has become a used car review. I suppose from here onwards I should really be using the past tense if this car is already dead. But anyway, most cars I think don't age very well, and when they're given a facelift it only serves to ruin the original design. With the XF though, I think this is a rare case of the facelift being prettier than the original. And in contrast to a Mercedes E-Class or a 5 Series BMW, the Jag might look a little dated, but it's by far and away the prettiest. In this spec, I think the XF is stunning. Now while Jaguar have certainly improved the exterior looks, the interior, it's unrecognisable. Now the pre-facelifted version of this car, it looked very nice, but it dated very quickly. And the build quality was definitely lacking. There were some nice features about that car's interior. I loved the rising gear selector and the air vents that rotated when you switched on and off the ignition. But here, Jaguar has really done a fantastic job, both in terms of build quality, technology and also attention to detail. Let's start off with the quality. Now there are a few cheaper plastics lower down on the doors, for example, but most executive cars of this type have that. The important bits, the areas that you touch, all feel very nice. I love the double stitching here, the use of the different materials, real wood inlays, real metal on the speaker vents just there, real metal for the paddles. That's almost Alfa Romeo levels of attention to detail. There's also lovely little references to Jaguar's past as well. You've got established 1935 in Coventry on the centre console, and that's repeated on the little tags on the seats here. And if you really know your Jaguars, you'll notice that the pattern on the seats, well, that reflects Jaguar's lozenge logo they used in the 1950s. The tech has had an overhaul as well. You get a much more modern and clear display in front of you, but it's the screen here. It's 11 inches in size and it runs Jaguar Land Rover's latest PV Pro system, and I think this system is probably the best on the market. I love the design of it. It looks visually interesting, doesn't it? And importantly, the functionality is great on it as well. There's loads of features. It's very easy to use on the move and you've got everything that you need there. It also looks very smart, that slightly curved screen as well, doesn't it? There are only two things that let the side down for me. Firstly, it's the quality of the leather. Whether it's the steering wheel or the leather on the seats, it doesn't feel plush enough. It doesn't feel how I think a Jaguar should feel. And then there's this gear selector. Now, of course, I prefer the original rising gear selector, but this one works very well. It's just the quality of the material. I love the cricket ball inspired stitching, but the material itself just feels very cheap. It feels, how can I put this? It feels chalky. It feels as though it's going to come off in your hand. But apart from that and the leather on the seats, on the steering wheel, this is a lovely, lovely interior. It's just a crying shame because you get the feeling that this is the interior the car should have had all along. Perhaps in a bit of a sad way, the XF died with a range of pretty average four-cylinder engines. The 3-litre supercharged V6 that was a feature of this car was deleted a couple of years ago, but the XF never received the V8 or one of Jaguar's traditionally arranged straight-six engines. It's a bit of a shame, really. There's nothing particularly wrong with the engine in this. It's a 2-litre four-cylinder petrol engine. This one's the P250, so it's got 248 brake horsepower, mated to an 8-speed ZF automatic gearbox. It's absolutely fine. It's just that it doesn't make a particularly characterful noise. Let me show you. Just a bit drony, if I'm honest with you, and it's not particularly keen to actually get going. That's partly the fault of this gearbox. Now, funnily enough, when I ran an XF, I had one for 6 months when I was at Auto Express. It was a 2-litre diesel and it had the same 8-speed ZF automatic gearbox. At the time, that was 2016, this gearbox felt really, really sharp, but over the years it's lost some of its precision because it doesn't allow this engine to really work to the best of its abilities. But having said that, the engine isn't one of the best four-cylinders. Well, it won't go down as one of the best four-cylinders in history, that's for sure. But it's absolutely fine, delivers reasonable economy, and it gets the job done. Luckily, it doesn't spoil what is the XF's party piece, and something which the XF will be remembered for, which is outstanding handling. Now, I know in the past British motoring journalists such as myself have heaped praise on British cars, perhaps a little bit too unfairly. They've said they've been absolutely outstanding, when in truth the Germans probably do it better. But I can tell you completely, honestly, hand on heart and emphatically, this car is the best executive car in the class, no shadow of a doubt. It was in 2015 and it remains so in 2024. The chassis on this car is to die for. Now, as standard, you get torque vectoring, which means that when you turn into a corner, let's say a left-hander for example, the inside wheels, the brakes are tweaked to try and get the car further into the apex. And I'm not going to say you can feel it working because you probably can't, but that's the joy of the system. You can't feel it working because it's doing its job and it's giving a really polished, sharp driving experience. You can just turn this car in and it goes exactly where you want it to, when you want it to, and it's brimming with feedback as well. I can feel the road surface, I can feel what the car is doing. You don't get that anymore. Now, around town, the ride on this car, particularly this one with its big wheels, is a little bit sharp, a little bit firm, but it does slacken off the faster you go. And when you're doing 40, 50, 60 miles an hour, this car delivers the kind of ride which you expect from a Jaguar. It's really well balanced, nice and cushioned, but it doesn't translate to wobbly, flobbery body control. And mated with this steering and chassis, this is a really entertaining car to drive. I just wish it had a more charismatic engine. But there's no point in wishing, because the curtain has fallen on the XF. It's sad because for a time the XF changed the face of Jaguar. Just like the original XJ, the first generation XF showed Jags could be cool and modern and didn't have to be a fuddy-duddy pastiche like the S-Type. The XF's demise is more symbolic than that though. It's the last petrol-powered saloon car Jaguar ever made, before the legendary Coventry car maker becomes a pure electric car brand. The next saloon car will be a £100,000 electric GT to rival the likes of Bentley. It's the conclusion to a near 70-year romantic novel. From the 2.4 litre saloon of the mid-50s, through to the timeless XJ6 and thuggish XJR, and up to this, the XF, Jaguar's petrol saloon cars have been legendary. It's the end of an era.